Alright guys, I think we're live here. We are testing this stream tonight. We just had our live stream over on Facebook, and my thing is we're planning on doing some tomorrow I should say, we're planning to do a live stream of an event that we have planned, a shoot tomorrow, USPSA shoot. And I tried to run this earlier, and for some reason the live stream was, now the live stream's working. Okay, I don't know what the deal was earlier. I was trying to run this earlier, and for some reason it would not run on YouTube. So we just ran over to Facebook and did about a 45-minute Facebook show over there, and now it seems like the YouTube stream is working. So if you guys want to, those of you that are here, we already have more followers here than we had over on the Facebook page. I hate Facebook, by the way, just so you guys know. I'm not a big fan of it. Much prefer doing things on YouTube. We can go through a lot of the stuff that we just went over over on Facebook. I mean, I would actually like that. The cool thing is, I think I can see, yeah, I believe I can see y'all's questions a little bit better over here. If somebody would comment, let's see if I can see y'all over here. If somebody would just drop me a comment, even if you just type in the word test, so I can see how it pops up over here. No Facebook. I like that. I'm not a big fan of Facebook. I just never have been, and they're very anti-gun. Of course, YouTube's not much better. So what are we talking about here? Checking in from Florida. Hey, Florida. We're Louisiana down here, guys. Okay, I see we're getting a pretty good group of people in here. What I'm going to do is I'm just going to pretty much go over everything that we did earlier on our Facebook chat and talk to everybody about it. Let's see here. First thing we talked about, anybody that out there that has seen some of our videos, our older videos, a little over a year ago, we put together a pretty cool segment called Gun Money. Gun Money was a neat segment that I wanted to show. If you had two firearms that were very similar in nature, let's say two shotguns, a Remington, well, I'm trying out a good combination, Remington and a Mossberg, they're kind of close in price. But if you had two guns that were very close in the particular make, however, they were very far apart in price. Well, we started off a segment, we kind of put the brakes on it because Rock Island Armory had contacted us and asked us to stop because the gun that they had given us did not have the right slide serrations on it for what they wanted us to use for the segment. So we kind of canned the segment temporarily until they sent us the gun that they wanted us to use, which is this pistol right here. So what we did was, yes, I missed that segment, bring it back. We really were holding on to bringing the segment, or to doing the segment rather, because we wanted to get this Rock Island, because we'd already kicked the segment off, and we're like, it was tough for us because we got such a strong head of steam when we kicked it off, and we got great reaction from the viewers out there, and we're like, oh yeah, this is going to be a fun segment. And then bam, you know, we pulled the plug on it because Martin over at Rock Island Armory wanted us to, and I mean, they're good guys, so we wanted to do that. What we're going to do is, just so you guys know, no guns here in the Temple of Boom are ever loaded. There's not one gun in here. The only guns that are ever allowed loaded are anything if you're wearing it on your person, and of course those don't come out of the holster while you're inside the temple here. So anyway, we have these two guns right here. This is an STI Nitro 10 millimeter. This is a Rock Island Armory Tact 2, also in 10 millimeter. These guns, if you look at them from a dimension standpoint, they're identical. They're identical. I mean, they're exactly identical. I mean, there's nothing different about them in any kind of way as far as the dimensions go. CNC machines, whatever. But if you'll look, you got some traditional things going on with the STI, with the wooden grips, kind of the bluing on the slide, the shining bluing, and of course you have more of your kind of Parkerized looking finish on your 1911 for your Rock Island and your G10 grips on it. So a little bit difference there. These two also, I've shot both of them and they shoot very, very well. You'll also notice that the the Nitro 10 has a standard post front sight, where your Tac 2 Rock Island has a fiber optic front sight. So other than that, there are some nice bells and whistles that happen on the STI that don't happen on the Rock Island. However, this costs $1,599, $1,599. This costs $795. That's why we do the gun money segment. We want to show you guys, and we're not going to tell you, we're going to let you make up your own mind. We want to show you guys what you get for your money. You know, yeah, these are beautiful wooden grips. I'm not going to lie to you. They look really, really nice. And they're kind of hard to tell in the picture here, but they are a thinner set of grips. They don't round out quite as much as a normal set of grips. You can't see this one. Well, maybe you can. It's kind of a mag weld on that too. So you may not be able to see that, which that's another addition that it has. You know, Rock Island has a mag weld on it. But the grips are a little bit narrower. You know, have a different type of serration on the slide here. Again, they have some bluing on there. The color is beautiful on it. A different type of hammer. I got different marks on the hammer right there, so you can get a little bit better grips whenever you're pulling back on that hammer. So there are some things that are very similar about these two pistols, but there's some things that are very, very different about them. That's why you have got that huge gap in price in between them. That's what we're going to show you guys in the gun money segment. We want you guys to be able to make up your own mind. Like we said earlier, we're calling it gun money because I know how I am. I've got my money and I've got my gun money. My money is to spend on other stuff. My gun money is to spend on gun stuff, period. Whether it's ammo, gear, guns, whatever. That's what we call it, gun money. Because I think no matter how careless we are at spending our money, we become a little bit more careful at spending it with guns. Now, that's not to say that we are totally responsible. I didn't say responsible and careful were the same thing. I'm more careful with how I spend my money, but it's probably not real responsible. Too bad Rock Island won't release a double stack Commander 4 1/4 inch. You know, I'll bet if you emailed Martin continuously over at Rock Island, he would probably consider it. You know, Rock Island, they're real open to some cool stuff. They have, I don't know if you guys remember that Para Ordnance had that little Warthog, the little tiny pistol in 1911, about that big. That was a double stack, but it was a little smaller. I mean, smaller than a 3-inch barrel. That thing right there, I think, and maybe it was a 3-inch barrel. It just looked really small because it had the double stack mag weld on it. Rock Island Armory is actually going to resurrect that. So they're open to some pretty cool stuff. So you guys may, you know, if that's what you're looking for, you want Rock Island to introduce something like that, man, check them out. You know, shoot them an email, catch up with them on Facebook. They're really, really responsive. If you contact them, they'll respond. I mean, believe me. If Martin doesn't, the CEO of the company, one of the gunsmiths may. So you'd be surprised. You know, you'll get some feedback most likely. So anyway, we're going to be doing these gun money segments. I'm really excited about it. I think the gun money segments, they're fun to do. They're very eye-opening. Maybe a double stack 10mm 1911 Commander. Yeah, that'd be kind of cool. Whoever earlier said 10mm is the best, or whatever you said, I tend to agree with you. I'm a big fan of the 10mm. We did some testing. I shouldn't even say testing. We did some playing a while back with 1911s. It was a Les Bear, one of their Premier 2 editions that's supposed to be guaranteed at 50 yards, 1-inch grouping. And we were making 200-yard shots easy. 300-yard shots, and then we made one 400-yard shot. That's a 45 caliber. Next, we're taking these 10mm out there. Now that's going to be fun. A 10mm is so much more of a flat flying bullet than what that 45 is. And that 45, the trajectory literally went like this and then dropped like that. And we were actually at the 400-yard mark. We were dropping our bullet onto the target. And why do I know that? Maybe it was the 300-yard. It was a 300-yard because when we hit the 400-yard target, we hit it one time, and it was on the gong in the middle, and we stopped. We weren't even going to try it again because we were successful at it. But on the 300-yard mark, it was a sheet of plywood, and the bullet went up, and it reached its trajectory, the height of it, and it came down, and it wasn't coming down like this. And I'm reading Home Defense 45 or 10mm. I'd say 45, and I'll tell you why here in a second. when that bullet comes down, it was coming almost straight down, because we found, if you go look through our YouTube videos, you'll see the video in there. Hard to beat a good SIG. You're right. That's exactly right. That bullet, we found the 45 bullet. We went down there to target, to the 300-yard mark, and we were looking at where our bullet had entered the target. I walked around to the back side of it, and again, you can confirm this by looking at some of our videos, because I have the video. We were rolling video when this happened. I walked around to the back side of the board, and there was the 45 bullet that had come down, and it was obviously tumbling. It had lost its terminal velocity, or whatever you want to call it. And instead of it going like this, it was just, it reached its peak, and it was just coming down. And when it hit the bullet, the board, it hit it and it backed into it. And with so little force, that this 45 caliber bullet shot 300 yards away was still sitting in that piece of plywood. It was lodged in there. So it gives you an idea what, you know, a 45 is just really not effective. I mean, it's not meant to be effective at that distance. But a 10 millimeter, yes, obviously we're still going to have some of that drop off, but we're not going to have near as much of a drop off, because it's not as fat a bullet. You know, basically a 40 caliber with a whole bunch of powder behind it. So it's going to be a flatter flying bullet. It's probably not going to trail off. Well, it's not going to trail off and die as much. What would be a good choice for someone who is going to start with firearms? In what way? Do you mean shotgun, pistol? Are you looking for something self-defense? Are you looking for competition? Are you looking for an AR-15? While you think about that question and answer, I'm going to drink a beer. Hopefully, you guys have something that you can sip on or whatever. You know, I only have one up here, so no, I can't share, but I do only have one up here. And in case somebody asked, it's a Yuengling Light. I like Yuengling beer. But yeah, whoever just asked that question, you know, what gun do I recommend for somebody getting into it? What do you plan to use the firearm for? You know, is it something that you want to use, or hunting? Are you taking it hunting, deer hunting, squirrel hunting, duck hunting, dove hunting? Looking for self-defense. So, and again, that helps narrow it down. If you're looking for self-defense, are you looking for home defense, like something to put by your bed, or something to carry? Becoming a 10 millimeter fan, yes. Again, we could talk about 10 millimeters all day long. I love a 10 millimeter. It is kind of the new thing too, the 10 millimeters. Everybody's kind of putting a 10 millimeter gun out now. I saw the other day, which it's been a little bit now. Self-defense, in home, or carry. Okay, I'll come back to that real quick. Chris Vector is making a 10 millimeter also. I'm sure you've seen the little space-looking gun. I've got one over here that's in 45, but Chris Vector is making 10 millimeter now. So that's got to be a fun one to shoot. Okay. If you're looking for a self-defense gun to carry and for home defense, man, I could tell you what I have. What about 11 millimeter? Maybe that's next. I could tell you what I have in different parts of my house. I would have to say this, and I mean this when I tell you this. There's the old argument about stopping power, shot placement, magazine capacity. All that whole argument about, do you want a lot of bullets, or do you want the knockdown power, or, you know, it's out there. I'm going to tell you what I think. Statistics show both home and concealed carry. Okay, good. We're on the same level here. Statistics show that, statistically speaking, your first two shots, and most of this comes from law enforcement, but statistically speaking, your first two shots are wasted shots, that they don't hit anything. Because you have adrenaline pumping, nerves, in the 460. You've got all these nerves going through your body, and it just shows that your first two shots are usually a total waste. So if I have a 1911, for instance, and I have 8 rounds in it, I only have 6 left for whatever I need. Now, if somebody's going to come to my house, excuse me a sec, if someone is going to come to my house and kick the door in, I hope there's more than just one, because if there's just one guy, he's going to be in a bind. So I'm assuming there's going to be more than one. So if I got to shoot 2 guys and I have a 1911, now I'm down to, I've got 6 bullets. I wasted my first 2 because I'm nervous, and maybe I'm not supporting the gun with my left hand, or whatever, you know, pow pow, shoot 2 shots off. I just wasted 2. Now I got 2 guys to shoot. It means I got only 3 bullets between the 2 of them. They're probably moving. My point to you is, I trust myself shooting a gun. I feel that I'm a solid enough shooter that I can probably hit what I need, probably, if I only have 8. But I tell you what, if I've got the opportunity to be carrying more than that, like maybe 12 to 13, maybe you consider that. There's not much that you can change as far as how many more bullets you got. Nobody wants to get hit by a bullet. I've never seen or heard of anyone get shot by a 9mm and look at a guy and go, huh, that was just a 9mm. Now, with that being said, I also understand that you've got the guys on meth, bath salts, or whatever else that you almost have to knock them down. Let's remember how the 1911 came to be anyway. John Browning designed this firearm around the .45 caliber, 45 ACP, because in the Philippines, these guys were over there. I think it was the Philippines, but it was in the Pacific Islands during the World War I or whatever conflict was going on at the time. I have to check my stats or whatever, but I'm pretty sure it was World War I. These guys, again, I'm pretty sure it was the Philippines too. They would chew on those leaves over there and get all jacked up, kind of like cocoa leaves or whatever, you know, get kind of jacked up, kind of like you would if you were on bath salts or whatever. These guys come running through the jungle, and they were shooting them with 9mm, and the bullets would either go right through them, or they weren't stopping them. There was no stopping power. So they created that big, fat, heavy 45 caliber, so that when it hit them, whop, you know, it knocked them down. They didn't fall down because they were hurting. They fell down because of the impact of the 45. Now, I'm not making an argument for 45 or 9mm. I'm just telling you why those things are what they are. My brother asked me one time which one I preferred, and he was asking me about the difference between 9mm and 45. And I told him, I said, I look at it this way. You know, if you've got a tennis racket and you hit somebody as hard as you can in the chest, it's going to hurt, but you're not going to knock them down. If you get a sledgehammer and you hit somebody in the chest with a sledgehammer, it's going to hurt and you're going to knock them down. But again, if you swing and you miss them, they're not going down at all and they're on top of you. So that's probably a decision you've got to make on your own. Not knowing who you are, I don't know what your training level is, and I don't want to get into the whole argument of training. But you know, if you have extensive training, and you know, once you start getting into guns, I know you're new to guns, but if you develop decent muscle memory and you get into your training, you take it seriously, and I say take it seriously because there's a lot of bad training out there. Training is not training. All training is not the same. You can get really bad training, and then you create bad habits and bad muscle memory. So keep that in mind also. You know, seek somebody out that can help you, that can do some training techniques with you that are effective, that are proven, that work. Not just some jackleg out there that, oh, he's a gun guy. You know, don't just pick the one guy you know that has had a gun for the last 10 years and assume that he's an expert for some reason. But, you know, training videos online, and I don't mean from us, because we're not, you know, we're certified trainers, but we're not the be-all, end-all of trainers. You know, there's plenty of guys online that you can seek out that are really good at learning technique, things like that. You can look at some shooters like Max Michel. Max Michel is a friend of ours. Go look at some of his videos. I mean, he really gets into the details of grip. Things like that are really, really helpful as far as how to control your firearm and become very, very accurate with them. So again, going back to that, even if you have extensive training, you may still consider a pistol that has more round count in it. Another thing to consider, you know, what neighborhood do you live in? You know, do you need more rounds in the neighborhood? Or you're in an apartment complex that is prone to breaking in, people breaking in and things like that. So, you know, that's probably a lot of stuff to consider. And look, you know, if that is what warrants your need for what type of gun you need, you know, if you're in an area that's a high crime area and you need 16, 17, 18 rounds, what about a small caliber defensive round? I'll get to that. That's a good question. If you're in an area that you feel like you need a high round count, then if it were me, I would go ahead and go seek that gun out and then make that my practice gun. You know, don't put the cart before the horse. Find the gun and just wrap your practice around it. You know, make it fit that particular gun. John Browning was the Merlin, the gun. You're darn right he was. We actually have a Battle Juice shirt that we're going to be coming up with John Browning in it. Anyway, talking about what self-defense gun, man, look, I'm not a Glock fan by definition. As far as some people out there like hardcore Glock fans, like everybody else's gun is junk besides a Glock. I'm going to tell you though, for the value and for reliability, those are probably the two things from a gun standpoint that I think are always the highest in terms of grading a gun if it's worth something. Those two things alone, SIG, so you can't go wrong with SIG. Somebody mentioned that earlier. I'm not going to lie, I like SIGs. You know, I don't want to get this argument started between the Glock guys and the SIG guys, but SIG is making some strong guns out there. That P320. If you are looking for a reliable gun like a Glock, and you get yourself a Glock 17 and put a P320, a SIG P320 next to it and shoot it, the trigger on that P320 will blow that Glock away. And I'm sorry if there's some Glock guys out there, and if there's some serious, honest Glock guys out there, you know that I'm telling the truth. That P320 makes an amazing trigger. And you can actually jack that P320 trigger up and make it that much better. Now I know you can do some aftermarket Glock stuff too, but coming straight from the factory, that 6 hour P320 is an amazing, amazing trigger. So if you're looking for a polymer gun, and I know I just went all the way around the block to get to your question about what self-defense gun. I apologize for that. I can be kind of long-winded sometimes, but I would say focus on maybe a Glock 17, you know, or I don't know, any of that size. I would shoot for 9mm. Again, for a whole nother argument, a 40 caliber can have somewhat of a snappy recoil. I do shoot, you know, my competition gun is a 40 caliber, but it's a much heavier gun. When you shoot a 40 caliber, I don't think a 40, and that goes for SIG too. When you shoot, this is a 40 caliber SIG P320. When you shoot the 40 caliber round in a polymer pistol, it has a funny torque to it. If you shoot enough, you'll know what I'm talking about. The gun does not have a natural soft recoil. Like when you've got, say, a 9mm, for instance, tends to have a pop, you know, it comes back like that a little bit. Not a whole lot of muzzle rise. It'll, you know, pop backwards. Where, and a 45, for instance, has kind of a little bit of muzzle rise, but it's still a very soft pop. Man, a 40 caliber, it's got a very unusual, weird torque to it. Like it almost comes up like that, like up and off to the side. To me, and I know there's people out there that are going to say they can do this. There's always a Superman out there, but to me, you've always used that for everyday carry, Smith & Wesson. There's people out there that are going to say that they can shoot a 40 caliber better, they can shoot everything, and that's fine. You know why? Because that's muscle memory, and they've conditioned themselves to get used to that particular gun, and that's great. That's what practice is for. But me, personally, I noticed that unusual, weird torque of a 40 caliber so much more when I shoot it that I would much rather shoot a 45 over a 40 because it's just such a wicked, unusual snap, and it's a sharp snap. Like you have that soft pop with a 45, and it's an extremely sharp snap whenever you shoot a 40 caliber. So polymer guns, to me, I'm not a big fan of polymer guns in 40 caliber. So if you're looking for caliber in your self-defense gun, I would consider a 9mm with a really high round count. And again, center your practice around that. Get good with that particular gun. Get familiar with it. Get very, very comfortable with it. You know, I know I've got a lot of guns, but I'll be honest with you. I don't mix up my self-defense guns. I have a select couple that I rotate through that I'll carry on my side, so I know those guns like the back of my hand, and I have great muscle memory with those guns. I'm not going to carry just anything. Just because I go buy something, that doesn't mean that's going to be the gun that I carry. I want to keep my muscle memory in check and know that anytime I'm carrying a pistol, I'm not having to wonder where the controls are when I pull that thing or unholster it. I'm not having to wonder, oh, do I have a manual safety? You know, oh, this is not in the right place, or something like that. I want to know that my body is doing exactly what it needs to do because it's used to handling that particular gun. So again, consider that. If you're looking for, if you want something in like a 1911, man, look, there's a lot of good 1911s. Let me rephrase this. There's a lot of good 1911s out there. Most of the guns made today, if you really want to get picky on it, there's bells and whistles that you can get. The type of material, if it's injected molding, is it a forged part, things like that. You can really start splitting hairs out there in terms of what's the better 1911. But if you're just getting into the, into pistols and whatnot, and you're not sure what you want to do from a self-defense standpoint, me personally, I would get a polymer, either a 6-hour P320 or a Glock, or an HK. HK makes a little bit higher price point. I'm just thinking from value standpoint here. And I'd get something in a 9mm because that's going to be something that you can control. I didn't catch your name, so I don't know if you're a man or a woman, but your wife could also control that also. And it's not a sissy gun by any stretch. Let me tell you something. The argument out there of shot placement versus knockdown power, 9mm versus 45, that used to be a pretty valid argument. Self-defense rounds have come so far these days that that's not much of an argument anymore. And I know I'm probably going to stir some people up out there. There's some 45 guys out there probably going to get pissed off at me. But in my humble opinion, self-defense rounds have come so far over the years that they are so good and so hot, and the different types of tips, hollow points, your ballistic tips and things like that, that these self-defense rounds are incredible. And to me, I feel totally comfortable now, these days, with a 9mm and a great self-defense round versus what I probably did 15 years ago. I would have never carried a 9mm 15 or 20 years ago because I didn't think that the self-defense rounds were as effective as what they are now. You can look at ballistic gel tests and things like that and see a huge difference in where ammo is today versus where it was just 15, 20 years ago in terms of self-defense rounds. So I feel comfortable telling you, go for a polymer gun and go for something with it. With that being said, get yourself some really good self-defense rounds. Do not skimp on your self-defense rounds. You might want to save a little bit of money on your gun. I'm not talking about buying trash, but you may want to save a little bit of money getting a reputable gun, but don't do that on your ammo. Make sure you get some effective ammo. And the number one tip that I'm going to give you, if you're entering in the gun world, and you're looking at self-defense rounds, this is the best advice I can give you, and probably the best advice that I wish somebody would have given me when I first started shooting. Shoot at the range at least 4 or 5 magazines full of that. I know it's more expensive, but shoot your self-defense rounds at the range. I see so many guys out there that go grab up the biggest junk they can, the round nose ball ammo, take it to the range, shoot 400 or 500 rounds of the same cheap ball ammo, and then put their gun up, grab the magazines, and shove this nice expensive self-defense round in there that's got a completely different shape, configuration to the front of the nose and everything, and they put it in their gun and they never fire it. Not one time. And they put it up like that. That's going to get people killed. 9mm especially. I mean, if you look at the nose of a 9mm, that big, soft, smooth cone on a piece of ball ammo, even in a 1911, it's got, of course, 1911 is probably a bad example for a 9mm because it's not made for that, but you've got your feed round. And when that nose is rounded and it comes up there, that ball ammo is going into that chamber really easily. Now, take a hollow point where, especially in a 9mm, basically you're chopping that whole ball off the front of it, so you got a squared nose. It could very easily come in and just boom, do that, run right into your feed ramp, and never make it up into your chamber. Remember, whenever your slide is coming forward, this round is down here, and it's taking that round. Let me show you. I mean, you guys know this. This is for anybody that's asking that's new. You've got your round down here, and your slide is coming, and it's pulling that round out of your magazine, and then it's going up and into your chamber. It's not going straight forward. So it's grabbing, again, your slide's coming forward, hitting the back of it, pushing up the feed ramp, going into the chamber. So if you've got any issues right there, any issues whatsoever, you could have a dirty gun, and with a round that's got more of a squarish nose to it, like a hollow point or a self-defense round, you can have some issues chambering that round properly. So again, the best advice I can give you is, no matter how many rounds you put through at the range, doesn't mean your gun is going to function with every single round in it. If you're going to load self-defense rounds into your pistol, make sure you shoot those. And I don't mean one or two. Run through a handful of them. Get you an extra box of them and run those things through there. And I'm sorry, I'm missing you guys' comments. They keep popping up over here. I'm known for yapping. Okay, you guys are talking amongst each other. That's good. That's good. I'm sorry. I didn't want to miss any of your questions and all that. Somebody asked earlier about the smaller caliber self-defense rounds. Man, look, same conversation. Going off the same conversation we were just talking about. A 380 round. Look, I know that there's got to be a 380 in here somewhere. Let me look real quick. Hold 1 second. I'm going to grab one. Here we go. A Glock 42. Okay. One thing I'm going to tell you about when I look at stuff like this in terms of a small caliber self-defense round, can you handle the gun? Whoever asked the question, I don't know if it was a man or a woman, big in stature, small in stature, you can get too small of a gun that you're shooting. And I know that sounds kind of stupid because you're thinking if you're big, you can handle anything. Yes, you can handle it. It's not like it's going to get away from you. But let's say you're, I don't know, you're somewhere in public and you're sweaty. It's summertime. I'm down here in Louisiana right now. It's freaking almost 90 degrees outside right now, and it's almost midnight. So, okay, I'm in Louisiana. I'm carrying this gun on me. Of course, this is, you know, for a 380, this is not a small gun. I mean, it's a decent sized gun for 380, even though it's a smaller size Glock. I'm sweaty. Something happens. I'm walking to my car, and somebody tries to jump me and my wife, and I have this gun in my pocket or holster, whatever. I go to grab it. I don't have the biggest hands in the world, but when I go to grab this gun, my hand is somewhat big for the gun. As you see, my hand is bigger than most of the gun is. You could have a gun that is it can get away from you inside your hand even though your hand is big, because the whole key in shooting a gun, and I'm not trying to be Mr. Expert here, it's just common sense. The whole key in effectively controlling a gun is having as much of the skin of both hands, or if you're shooting a single hand, of that one hand, on the gun at any given time. If your hands are so big that they start wrapping around each other, then they're not contacting the gun, so you're not controlling that gun. Just because you have your hand like an octopus wraps around the whole gun does not mean that you're controlling the gun at any point. It means you're controlling your grip, and you probably have a steady grip, but the gun could very easily be in there and wobble around inside your hand. So I would tell you that whoever asked this about my thoughts on a small caliber self-defense round is to make sure that you start looking at guns that, if you're looking for a small round, that you find the gun that fits your hand. Let's say if it's a woman, for instance, you know, some women have big hands. So I would make sure that this is probably a better gun, because in terms of Glock made this Glock 42, you know, it's not tiny. You know, it looks a little small compared to regular Glock, but a lot of your 380s are much smaller than this. So, I mean, I would say don't just look at the round, look at the pistol and how it fits your body and how you can hold it or whatever, because you don't want to lose control of it. Personally, I would rather hold a bigger gun than a much smaller gun, because I feel like I don't control the smaller gun near as well. So, and again, like we were talking about the ammo earlier, you know, a 380 round, 380 round in good hot hollow point ammo is a pretty effective round. Again, Google some or YouTube, here on YouTube, look at some of your ballistic gel tests and you'll see what I'm talking about. There's some pretty effective stuff out there. I wouldn't go any smaller than a 380. You know, I always look at things, I know that we can all tend to overanalyze things sometimes in terms of, you know, you're never going to be able to create the self-defense situation that you're ever going to be in. You know, we probably think, oh, if I was in this kind of situation, if I was in that kind of situation. Very rarely do people get into those types of situations exactly how they planned it in their own mind. You know what I mean? So it's unlikely that you're going to be able to recreate that in your mind and be that prepared for it when you go forward. But with that being said, you want to make sure that, I always think of this in my head, the most likely person that I see that is probably going to attack me is probably going to be somebody that's jacked up on something. You know what I mean? Like the bath salts or the meth head or something like that. That's probably the kind of person that I fear more than anything. I know that the average clear-thinking person is not going to come kick my door in downstairs. They're not going to. They're just not. But a meth head, a crackhead, again, bath salts, some of these whacked out people out there, look, man, they're either looking for their next fix or money to get their next fix. You know, they may just come, you've seen them, you know, some of the crazy stuff they do. They kick a door in and just come running into your house. That's the people I worry about. It really is. That's the people I worry about. I don't think that I'm ever going to be a target of some organized group coming to assassinate me and my family. That's not what I look at. I don't see that as being any kind of real threat. Again, it's the whacked out people out there, the ones that aren't right. Those people are the ones that aren't feeling any pain. And when they're not feeling pain, and you start popping 380s in them, I don't know what's going to happen. You better be a good shot. Because even me, you know, if you're shooting me now, that's probably not a good example. You shoot me, I'm going down. But a normal person can take a 380 shot in a non-vital organ. You know, if you're not shooting me in my torso, you shoot me in my arm, I'm going to drop to the ground and it's going to hurt like hell. But the average crackhead or whatever, they don't even feel that. You're shooting to try to hit something that's going to slow them down, something that's going to stop them, something that's going to be more of a speed bump to them. I just have the feeling that a 380 in that particular case may not quite be as effective. Now, just like I said earlier, that every gun has its purpose, I'm going to tell you this right now. I'm wearing shorts right now. If I'm going to go run down to the store real quick, I'm not going to put this heavy 1911 on my side. I'm probably not going to put this polymer gun that's still going to be somewhat heavy because it's holding 13 rounds. I'm probably going to grab this, stick it right in my pocket, and go to the store and come right back. The reason why is because I don't want to be unarmed when I go to the store. At least I've got something. I've got a fighting chance because I am carrying something. So there is a gun, caliber, I think all calibers are worthy calibers. Heck, I have one of those old, is it a North American Arms, I believe, the little tiny revolver that holds maybe 2 rounds, 222 rounds in it. I have one of those because I can literally put that thing in a bathing suit without it dragging my pants down or flopping all around, because I feel like there's a place for every single gun out there. So with that being said, again, I took the long way around. I would say if you're going to carry a 380, either let it be a backup or let it only be in a circumstance like I just described, where you're wearing short pants or something like that, where you can't really put a heavy gun on you because it's going to it's either going to print or it's going to be too heavy, pull down on your pants or whatever. There is a place for a 380, but just be careful when you use that. Link an article where a meth head strung out attacks someone and gets shot. I don't know, I'd like to see that. I'm sure it's happened. The best gun is the gun you'll actually carry. That's exactly right. I've got guns in here that I didn't buy with the intention of ever carrying them. Hello from Puerto Rico. Hey, is that Alan? This is Alan. Alan, welcome from Puerto Rico. Nice to have you, Alan. And I'm going to try to keep better care, paying attention to everybody on there. Lagged out. Yeah, one of the things that we're going to try to do here is I have a lot of metal, in this building here. The gun panels from Gallo Technology, they're obviously all metal, but I also have metal on the outside. This thing is fortified, and my internet signal is not the greatest in here. I have a feeling that if I were outside of this room, and my HughesNet Gen 5 not doing so well. If I were outside this room, you guys would probably have a little bit better signal. What I can do is, and this is the thing, I can dummy the signal down. My settings on here are with full HD, just HD, which I assume is 720, and then below that. And what I didn't want to do is, and I may have to do this next time, I didn't want to have to bring it down so low below HD that it was a crappy feed, that you couldn't see any detail or anything like this. Again, the quality of this signal, it may lag a little bit, but it actually could be an even better signal, which obviously would lag even more. Yes, a lot of metal in here. I'm going to try to pay attention to these comments on here now. If you guys have any questions or comments or anything like that, I'm happy to talk to you guys about them. Live from a hidden underground bunker. Yeah, well, who is that? Oh gosh, what's his name? Can you play I Am Legend and shoot your gun out a window? No, I can't. That would probably be fun though. This is a shirt. We're going to be giving a shirt here away tonight, guys. This is our sponsor right here. Anytime we do some live streaming, it's sponsored by Battle Juice Energy Drink. It's a newer energy drink that's very, very pro Second Amendment. So I encourage you guys to check them out. BattleJuiceEnergy.com. If you get a chance, go to their website. What's the best gun that someone 5'2" can conceal carry? That's a good question. That's a real good question. Are you a man or a woman? And I'll look here. Oh, Alan. I guess that's Alan that's mentioning that. Alan, like 2, 3, 5, 6, if you're small, I still think a 9mm. And like we talked about earlier, the SIG P320 or a Glock 17. There's a lot of polymer guns out there. You look at all these. Again, I don't want to bash any company out there. There's some junk out there, but not a ton. Gosh, who was it just came out? Beretta just came out with that kind of unusual looking 9mm polymer gun. It looks like a good gun. I mean, it's got some odd something on the slide. It's like almost looks like diamond plate every so often on their slide, but the gun itself looks good. FN has an amazing 9mm out right now. Beautiful gun, well-functioning gun. That's not a bad one either. I mean, Walther's got some good 9mm, and you take your pick. I would just tell you, look at a polymer gun in 9mm. That's probably the best middle of the road that pretty much anybody can handle that. You'd have to be pretty darn frail to not be able to handle 9mm in most guns out there in polymers. But I did want to point out these shirts. What I'm going to ask you guys to do, this is one of our gun control, is for punk ass little bitches. And yes, you need to practice with your carry ammo often. Great advice. You see it's got our Battle Juice Energy Drink logo on the back. And then we have this t-shirt right here. That is the come and get it, come and take it shirt. Also has the 2A on the back of it. I'm going to give one of these away tonight to one of you guys out there. I want to start giving some stuff away whenever we have these live streams like this from Battle Juice. Again, we want to thank those guys for sponsoring us. But email me. Email me. All you got to do is email me at paul@LegallyArmedAmerica.com. Again, that's Paul, P-A-U-L, at LegallyArmedAmerica.com. Put in the subject line t-shirt. That's all you got to do. Put t-shirt in the subject line, and in the body of the email, make sure you put your full name. Put your full name in there so I know who it came from. You should put a link to Battle Juice on your page here so they can see the traffic you send to them. Yes, I will. Good advice. But yeah, definitely put your full name in the body of the email so that when we do pull a winner, I can contact you guys back and I'll know who it is. What we're going to do is we're going to do a random drawing after all of this. So when you email me, we'll take them and I'll assign a number to everybody's name, and we'll video this so you guys will see it's all legit, and I'm just not picking my cousin or something like that. And we'll film that, use a random app online, and we'll pick a winner, and we will send whichever one of these shirts you want. Again, the come and take it, which is my favorite, and of course I love the saying on this one, or the gun controls for punk ass little bitches. we'll send you whichever shirt you want in the size that you want. We're pretty good on sizes. I'll tell you, we have, I think, some of these in 2X. We don't go any bigger than that, and kind of limited in our smalls. But in between that, we're pretty good. What is the beast of a revolver on the bottom under the H&K? Is that a Ruger? This right here, that's why I like live streaming, that I can interact with you guys. You guys, come on, y'all know what this is. I gotta clean it up because it's got fingerprints all over it. This is a 500 Smith & Wesson. You're right, it is a beast. It basically holds beer cans in there. This gun right here, I can honestly tell you, is the only gun that I have ever shot in my life. Even when I was a kid. Of course, when I was a kid, I would have never shot something like this. But it's the only gun I've ever shot in my life that actually hurt my back when I shot it. We have a video out there. If you go look through some of our videos, just search by LegallyArmedAmerica and Smith & Wesson 500. That when I shot this thing, we shot it in slow motion, the video. And when I shot it, was it whole 5 rounds, I believe? Yeah, 5 rounds. When I shot it, you can see in slow motion the force ripple through my arm and go into my back. You can see it just from the rippling from the thing's firing. And I shot it 5 times, and I think I shot it 5 more times after that. But after I shot it the first 5 times, I walked off, and I could feel something in my back. It had torqued my back somehow. And I mean, I shot it like this. It wasn't like I had a terrible stance or anything like that. It was a normal stance that I would normally shoot, slightly lean forward, but kind of pushing into the gun. And I'm telling you, it hurt my back. I'm talking about shotguns, rifles, you name it, the things that I've shot. This thing right here is the only one that ever hurt my back. And by the end of the day, I could feel my back had stiffened up. Blew my mind. I never expected that. So while it may have some bragging rights power to it, it's not a fun gun to shoot. I don't mind telling you that. It's not a blast to shoot. But it is a beast. And that thing right there, what blew my mind about that whenever we did the review on it, was that one of the things, hey, from Tennessee, hey, how's it going, man? Nice to see you. Glad you could join us. If you go to Smith & Wesson's website, they actually say on there, what was the email again? Paul at LegallyArmedAmerica.com. Again, that's Paul, P-A-U-L, at LegallyArmedAmerica.com. Or you can do Paul at LAA.BZ. It'll send it to the same location. But Smith & Wesson's website for the Smith & Wesson 500, it says on there that round can kill any animal walking the face of the earth. There's some big animals walking the face of the earth, and they're saying that thing can kill all of them. You got to figure, the 10mm will kill a bear, but you got to figure there's elephants, there's rhinos, bears, of course. They're saying that thing will kill anything, and I believe it. After shooting it, I was like, man, there's no way I'd want to get hit with that. See, anyway, it's Smith & Wesson 500, but I'm not a big revolver guy, but that gun right there, it's a beast, man. The bullets are not cheap either. The rounds aren't, but it's definitely a beast. What else? With the right ammo. Yes, with the right ammo. Always, the ammo is the key. I see a lot of people shooting garbage ammo these days, and ammo is key. What do you guys want to talk about? We've got. Let's see if I had anything else. Oh, anybody out there shooting USPSA? We talked about this earlier in our Facebook Live session. This is even Godzilla. Yeah, that'll kill him too. This is what I'm shooting tomorrow. If anybody shoots USPSA, I will be shooting. This is the STI DVC Limited. I love this thing. They have that gun here in camp. Which gun are you talking about? This one or the 500? What do I everyday carry now? Man, everyday carry, I rotate through right now 2 guns. It's like I was saying earlier, yes, everyone should have at least 1 revolver. That's true. I rotate through 2 guns, and the reason why is because I don't want, and they're very, very similar, I guess, in terms of their makeup and how they're made. Similar to this. This is not the P320 that I carry, but I carry a 6-hour P320 and an HK P30SK. The 6-hour that I carry is actually a subcompact version, so it's more this size. If you'll notice, the size is a little bit different on these. This gun's a little smaller. I actually carry a P320 that's about that same size as the HK. I carry these two guns because I'm real familiar with them. I use them a lot. I've practiced with them a lot. So I know that whenever I pull them out, and guys, Slipper Jaw Don't Cuss, I'm trying to follow y'all's comments on here. I'm not doing a very good job of it. So if I miss some of y'all's comments, I'm going to try to get a little lower where I can see. I want to make sure that whenever I'm pulling a gun out, if I ever have to pull one out to use it for self-defense, that I'm not having to think of where any of the controls are on it. I don't want to think that if I have a manual safety. I hear a lot of people talk about how they hate manual safeties on a self-defense handgun, and I'm not totally opposed to them. But my thing is, if you're gonna have a manual safety on your gun, practice with it, get good with it, get to where you know it. Don't get to the point where you have to learn the gun whenever you're trying to figure out what you need to do when you're encountering somebody that might be attacking you or your family. That's not the time to be learning where your controls are. You should have the muscle memory that you're not even thinking about what you're doing. I mean, the worst thing you're thinking about is, do I pull the trigger or not? It shouldn't be, oh, do I have a safety? Do I need to take this thing off of safety? You know, oh, do I need to cock the hammer? Oh, do I need to rack the slide? You know, those aren't the things you want to be talking about whenever you're faced with a self-defense situation. So, again, with that being said, you know, I don't know. It's hard for me to narrow it down, but the two everyday carries that I have now, again, are a SIG P320 and a HK P30SK. I just like both of them, and I'm going to tell you why I carry those two, why I narrowed it down to those two. They're obviously two good name brands as far as reliability goes. But you know what the real reason why was? Round count. They hold more rounds. You know, some of the other polymer guns in the same size just don't carry as many. This HK, I think, holds 10. Yeah, 10 rounds. You know, I'll take the 10. The SIG P320, I think, carries 12. I think the only other polymer gun that I have kind of rotated through before, that I don't carry a whole lot right now, that has more, I'm pretty sure, and you guys can confirm this, is the Springfield XD Grip Zone model, the XD Mod 2. I want to say it holds like 13 rounds. I'm not 100% sure, but I'm pretty sure that's the one that holds the most rounds. So you guys can check into that. If you guys are drinking a beer or whatever, drink one up. Mine's getting hot. It's been sitting there for a little bit. FNS 9C. That's the FN that I was trying to think of earlier. That's a good gun. That's a darn good gun. FN doesn't get enough credit. Pop quiz. What gun is sitting next to you right now? You mean me, or the closest one to me right now is probably this Glock 43 or Glock 42. Anyway, what else you guys want to talk about? We'll wrap this thing up here in a second. 16 in my lap. SOCOM 16 in your lap. Got a 16 back here. It's a great gun. It's an awesome gun. Fun gun to shoot. My shield only carries 7, but it's so thin it's comfortable. I don't feel exposed. Yeah, you're right. Look, man, I have a Walther PPS. I get Walther's friggin' letters mixed up all the time, but I'm pretty sure it's a PPS. Just like what you said, very paper thin, narrow, you know, 9mm, and same like the shield. It's built like the shield as far as you know, single stack, and I don't know, man. There's times whenever if you're wearing like a I don't know, like an Under Armour shirt, even a collared one, but the you know, real thin one, that I'll tend to, you know, maybe I won't carry one of the thicker guns like this. You know, you can see this HK being the double stack, that it's a little bit wider, and yeah, naturally the SIG P320 definitely is. So, you know, if I'm worried about printing or something like that, a lot of times I'll grab that Walther, and I mean, I'll even change to appendix carry sometimes if I'm really worried about printing. And I know that's a whole nother argument. We have a video out on that also, but on side carry versus appendix carry. And you know, there's definitely some pluses and minuses for those. And I'm gonna tell you another thing that a lot of people don't think about. This may be a good example. I don't know if yep, perfect example right here. Another thing people don't think about in terms of carrying is if your holster has a cant to it, a turn, about a 15-degree cant. If you notice this holster right here, this clip that's holding the holster, I'm holding the holster perfectly up and down, but if you notice, you've got this clip on here that's at a 15-degree angle. Notice this piece of Kydex right here does not have that. You know, that right there, well, it's got a little bit of an angle. I'm sorry, I'm sitting here giving you bad information. Look, but this holster right here, you can actually move that. See how you can unscrew this Phillips head, and you can create your own cant. I'm not sure if I would like that so much. I don't know who the manufacturer is. I don't really want to have controls that I can move around because, you know as well as I do, screws are going to unscrew themselves over time. So I'm not sure if I would want that. But a lot of the other holsters, you can either buy it with a 15-degree cant or with no cant at all. So, you know, be picky, be very picky about your holster whenever you're buying one. You know, if there's any of you guys out there that don't normally carry now and you're looking to start carrying, don't just buy what your buddy has or anything like that. I mean, all of our bodies are made differently. Which one do you do more appendix carry? Hip carry. I hip carry way more. To me, my build, I can usually hide a pistol on my hip fairly easily. This is one I was actually carrying today, and if you notice, even with a t-shirt and short pants on, I mean, if you look, most guys who conceal carry, you know, they can usually look at somebody else and tell if they're carrying. You know, obviously I'm printing right now, but you have to turn and release it. And I'm trying to catch you guys' comments. But yeah, I mean, this one right here, as you see, to me, it's a lot more comfortable for me. Whereas if I appendix carry this same gun, again, we talked about that cant earlier. If you notice, this thing has a pretty decent, it's got a 15-degree cant on it. So this thing right here, it leans a little bit. Instead of being over here out of my way, it's going to lean forward that way a little bit more. And it's not as comfortable, so I'm kind of picky about what holsters I'm going to carry. Like, for instance, I took my son to swim lessons the other day, and just the way that I have to sit while I'm waiting for him, I kind of lean over a little bit. And I knew that, you know how some people are a little bit squeamish whenever you're carrying a gun. So I knew that if somebody saw me carrying a gun, they'd probably freak out or whatever. And so I carried appendix carry so no one could see, because, you know, it's just as easy for me. It's just that, to me, side carry is so much more comfortable than appendix carry. Appendix carry, to me, it limits my mobility a little bit. Again, if you can probably go look at our video and we'll talk about, you know, it says appendix equals shot in the junk. That's one thing we talked about in our video about appendix carry, is how, you know, everything you're taught about as far as gun safety is to never aim your pistol at anything that you're not willing to completely destroy. But yet you're asking me to take this thing and push it down towards my junk and holster it. Anytime I appendix carry, I never put the holster in and then holster the gun itself. I always holster the whole thing together, or put the whole thing together in my appendix. I never do just the holster and then enter the gun. I'm not comfortable doing that. Yeah, I know there's going to be some smart asses out there that say, well, then you know, you're not trained with your weapon if you're worried about that. Look, stuff happens, and I'm not going to be the one that stuff happens to, because I was trying to be Mr. Billy Badass and prove to everybody that I have all the proper training with my pistol. Why even go down that road if you don't have to? So I'm not going down that road. I'm as safe as I possibly can all the time, and that's how I approach that. So training has nothing to do with it. Why take chances if you don't have to? It's just stupid. It's stupid to take unnecessary chances. There, I said it. So I'm sure there's some really tough guys out there that you know, have a problem me saying that, because they want to prove to the world that they're the biggest, baddest guys in the world. But look, man, everybody makes mistakes out there. So again, don't encourage something to possibly happen and create an instance to where you regret it later on, going, man, why did I do that? I didn't have to do that. If you don't have to do it, don't do it. Don't be unsafe just because you're trying to prove how much of a badass you are to somebody. Let's see, guys, what else you want to talk about? I'm going to wrap this thing up here in a second. It's getting kind of late. For me, it is 12:15 a.m. down here in Louisiana. And let's do a roll call real quick. I'd like to know where you guys are from. I know we got somebody from Puerto Rico. I don't keep around chamber anyway. Go ahead and hate on me, guys. Hey, man, I'm not going to hate on you. I'm not going to hate on you at all. Again, we talked about this in a segment earlier when we were on Facebook Live. I don't hate on anybody. And there is a time and a place for every single way that you might be able to carry a gun. And I'm going to tell you, if you don't want a round in the chamber, look, I'm going to tell you the strangest story. And I'm not going to tell you guys who the YouTube superstar was because I don't want to start an online war. But there was a YouTube superstar that he's a big proponent of always having one in the chamber no matter what. And he's so arrogant about that. And I follow the guy on YouTube. I used to love his videos, but then I started seeing how arrogant he was. And he says that if you are not comfortable carrying around in your chamber, that you shouldn't be carrying a gun at all. You just soon carry a brick. But I see one of his other videos later on, the same guy that's saying if you're worried about shooting yourself, you shouldn't be carrying a gun because you don't have proper training. The same guy is talking about how he doesn't appendix carry and he likes to side carry more now because he's afraid that something could happen and he could shoot himself. Now, the guy's totally contradicting himself. He's saying that because a guy like, excuse me, whoever that was on here that said they don't carry one in the chamber, that because that guy, for some reason, doesn't want to carry one in the chamber, that he doesn't have proper training in his gun, he shouldn't be carrying if he's afraid to shoot himself. But this guy's afraid to shoot himself in appendix carry, so he carries on his side. Isn't that the same thing? Should this guy not be carrying a gun either because he's afraid he's going to shoot himself in his junk? So you see a lot of that out there. Look, man, it's like I said earlier. There's a time and a place for everything. The guy is James Yeager. It's actually not James Yeager. But, yeah, it probably could be, but it's not. It's really not him. But that's funny you said that. I'm laughing because someone, and I don't even know what group it is, somebody on YouTube is having their way with James Yeager and his followers right now. I never realized that there was such backlash against James Yeager. I mean, I've met the guy before. He seems like a nice guy to me. I've never taken any of his classes or anything like that. But wow, there is a subculture out there that freaking hates him, and they go at it. I mean, you've got your James Yeager people and the James Yeager haters, and they just do this online, and it is amazing. It's freaking hilarious because of the memes that come out of it. I'm a meme stealing fool. I'll go in there and yank all these memes out of there because they're hilarious. But anyway, that's a whole nother topic. I don't like to dog out on some of these guys out there that are doing kind of what we do. I know there's some guys that are a lot more advanced than us, but how do you know what kind of wall is safe to point a loaded gun at or a safe place to aim at? Good question. If you were asking me that, I don't worry about shooting myself. I won't risk my gun going off if there's no reason for it. If you're asking me what wall do I know to shoot at or whatever, in my house, I mean, obviously I'm not going to shoot at any. But I know that my son is over there and my wife is over there right now. So I know that if I needed to shoot at a wall, it'd be that wall right there. But anyway, guys, I think I'm going to try to wrap it up. We're going to try to do this every week. So if you guys want me to keep doing this, if you have some ideas of what you'd like to go over, any of the guns that we have in here, I mean, this is one wall. I've got 3 others. What I may try to do is post some pictures of some of the walls in here, and you guys, if there's any particular guns you want to talk about, I've got some pretty cool stuff in here. We can talk about that. I think that we'll continue to unbox some guns. What I intend to do is take some of the brand new guns and unbox them here for the very first time, and then of course we'll do our full-length reviews on our YouTube channel later on. But for the live streaming, we'll try to unbox them here. So anyway, if you guys have anything you'd like for us to either do a review on or talk about here, I'd love to do it. Again, we want to thank Battle Juice for sponsoring these live streams. I mean, they're very casual live stream, nothing formal about this, but it's fun to have you guys out. Check out my channel, guys. Who is this? Han Solo. Actually, Han, I've seen you, well, I've seen you in some movies from back in the 70s and 80s, but yeah, James does do that. But Han, actually, I think I've run across your stuff before. I'll have to check your stuff out. Any of you on here that have channels that you want us to, you know, talk about, just let me know that you have a channel. Mine too, YouTube is Guns for You. All right, Guns for You and Han Solo. That's two of the YouTubers on here. Yeah, you guys go check that out. I mean, I'm all about that. Look, we're not haters on here. You know, let's all grow together. Anybody out there doing something like this, I'd love to take part in it if you're doing some live streaming of your own. If there's anything I can ever help out with, I'm happy to do that. And I don't mind you guys promoting your stuff on here. I mean, let's put it out there. I will check some of those pages out myself, though. I will check out Guns for You, and I will remember Han Solo. Han Solo, I'm pretty sure I've looked at your stuff before. But yeah, I'll check that out, and I'll make sure and subscribe to you guys. If you don't mind, subscribe to us. That's a big help, if you could. A lot of times whenever we're looking for people to support, sponsor, or whatever our show, Alien Gaming is another one. Alien Gaming. That's another YouTuber on here. Yeah, guys, I'm happy to try to get the word out about you guys. Yeah, I mean, let's all support each other, especially in the gun world. I like to make sure that, you know, if we're being responsible gun owners, that we all help each other and support each other. Too much hating going on out there. I'm not trying to hug it out with anybody. I'm not like that. I'm just saying, you know, I'm also not a backbiting guy. If there's something we can do to help each other out, I'm all about it. And let's do that. Let's try to promote each other. To me, when we all rise to the top, we all rise to the top. You know, everybody gets. We can all take each other along with us. And I appreciate you guys hanging out with us. I know you got better things to do. Thanks for hanging out with us. This is my gun room, my temple of boom, I call it. Lucky enough to be able to finally put this thing together with not much support from my wife, if you know what I mean. It's kind of one of those kind of things that you just kind of got to make up your mind and do it. So I'm glad to finally be filming up here, because all of our filming before was a little bit cumbersome for us, and it's a lot easier for us to do it in here. So again, let's all remember keep supporting the Second Amendment. Don't forget to put those links here on your page, dude, so you can get the credit. Yeah, thank you for that. I will definitely do that. Thank you guys for hanging out here. I appreciate it. We're going to try to do this like every Friday if we can. I know it's a little late right now, but I have a special needs son that I put to bed every night. So this is the time that I can actually come spend time up here in the room and engage with you guys. So the lateness is kind of necessary for me, so it's going to have to be kind of late like this. 10:30 Central Standard Time is easier for me because I'm usually having to bed by 10, so that's why I do it like this. Tomorrow night, I'm not sure if we'll be doing anything tomorrow night. We'll see. But I'm going to try to do this every single weekend, either Friday or Saturday night. We'll try to post on our Facebook page, Instagram, or anything like that when we're going to do it. That's what's kind of funny about YouTube. There's not really any way to post anything like that. So you almost have to post a video saying that, and I guess I'll start doing that in the future. I'll just put like a little 10-second video out there saying live streaming tonight or whatever. But again, if you guys would, late on Friday is perfect. Cool, thank you, I appreciate that. Again, if you guys want to go in there in our comment section on any of our videos and, you know, post for people to go like your page and subscribe, we're happy to help you do that. So feel free to do that. Guys, enjoy yourselves. You know, hopefully you get some range time in this weekend. I plan to, I think, Sunday. So I'll take a couple of guns out and just have a little bit of fun. Probably these 10 millimeters, and shoot them a little bit more before we actually start running some film on them next week, I believe. Have a good weekend. Enjoy yourselves. You know, enjoy your family. Shoot safe. And yeah, definitely have a good time. And again, guys, thank you all for hanging out.